it's Teacher Erica. I am not in my classroom today. I am at the Borst house in the back of Borst Park. It's right by Centralia Center West. But I'm here, I'm out in front. You kind of see the house. I'm going to turn around my camera in a minute. But it's a historic home from a family that lived in Lewis County a long time ago. But they have what's called an arboretum out here, and that's where there's lots of different trees. And so I'm out here and we're going to look at some of the trees. So I'm going to turn my camera around and we're started. So there's a path. I'll show you the house. Sometimes there's tours inside the house. You can go inside, not with COVID. It's kind of sad. There's also a schoolroom and a church here. So I'm going to start looking. Look at all those leaves on the ground. You know what these leaves are? They tell me that there's a big leaf maple tree here. And these don't have a lot of bright, pretty colors. This one, I like this one though. This would be a really good one to take back for a leaf rubbing because it's just about the right size. But there's a big leaf maple. That tree there that's starting to turn yellow is the big leaf maple, and they're along the water. And then right next to it, this tree right here is a Doug fir. I can tell because I'm looking at the cones. See those cones right there? Those are Doug fir cones. Those are little mice that hid from a fire in a Doug fir. And Doug firs have bark that's all scaly. So if I come over here on the ground, I should be able to maybe find a Doug fir cone to show you, but maybe not. We had some wind the other day. So here's a Doug fir branch, and you can kind of tell, you see how its spikes or needles are all over the little branch. And they're more round. I'm turning it over. But and they're all kind of the same length. If it was a hemlock, they would all be different lengths. If it was a pine, they would be more circular, round, and they could be long or short. But I'm looking for evidence. Oh, I found one. Here's a fir cone. So see, this looks like a little mouse that's hiding. That tells me this is a Doug fir. And the story is that there was a fire and all the mice went to find, ooh, it's coming out of focus, went to find a safe place to hide. And so they climbed inside this Doug fir cone to be safe. So you see all the little mice. Those are actually the seeds. And the seeds need heat to germinate. So after a fire, actually, then they would all come out and start a new fire. So I'm going to pause it and we're going to go see what other trees we can find here. Okay, so here's the other pine tree. And it's got a different shape. You see how it's all kind of prickly up and around, and they stick out. They look like what's called a bottle brush. And I'm going around it to see. And I'm looking to see if I can find a pine cone. There's one on the tree. There's a couple more on the tree. But we should look on the ground to see if we find some on the ground. Pine cones are fun. You can collect them and use them for crafts. And so if you look around, sometimes they keep this place nicely raked and clean. So I don't see any more pine trees. So we're gonna go see another tree. Okay, this tree is a spruce, and it's got its needles all around, but it's really prickly. Spruce kind of are really prickly. If you get a spruce Christmas tree, they can be super prickly. We had some in our yard that nobody wanted to walk by because they really hurt. And if you look, I'll step back. You look, this one's kind of droopy. It's really droopy. See how droopy that tree is? Wow, that's a super droopy tree. That's how it grows. This tree I'm under now is a black elderberry, and I don't see any branches on the ground to show you. But see how its leaves, this one has leaves, not needles, and it has double rows of leaves going up. And they're in pairs, and then there's one at the very end. And it has berries on it, and the birds like to eat them, and some people cook them to make cough syrup. There's another tree here that we'll go find that also has these leaves that are on either side of the little branch. Okay, this is a locust, and again, do you see it's got pairs of leaves going up the branch. These are very new. These were new this year. These were new last year, so they're a little bit older and a little bit darker and a little bit bigger. So that's the locust. This is an ornamental maple tree. Can you see how bright and pretty it is? Its leaves are turning really bright orange. We're going to get closer so you can see the colors. Sometimes the foggy day helps with colors and sometimes it doesn't. Do you see those? I'll pull them down. You see that maple leaf? It's got like 5 fingers and it's a really bright, pretty orange. But some of the tree is still green and it takes a while for all of the leaves to change. Here's another pine tree. Look how long these are. They're so much as long as my fingers. And this one's kind of droopy. If I look at it and I pull back, you'll see that this pine is super droopy on its branches. But the one next to it isn't so droopy. But it's still a pine tree. Its needles stick up more. It's perkier. Some of these, oh, these have big cones. This isn't a very good cone, but look how big that cone is. It's as big as my hand. And then there's another pine tree over there. There's the church. There's a pine tree. There's lots of pine trees. That tree behind the pine tree that looks like a cone, that's another Doug fir tree. Doug firs like to look like cones. I'm going to go around the pine tree so you can see it. There's some apple trees back here and some more maple trees. There's that Doug fir and another pine tree next to it. There's an apple tree. It has lots of apples. Should we go look at its leaves and fruit? I like to eat apples. These apples are an old type of apples, and they're not very big. They don't look like the apples in the store, but they would make really good apple cider or applesauce or apple pies. There's their leaves. Oh, I got it a little bit better. So their leaves are a little more round, and they're not in pairs. They just kind of come out along the branch, but they don't file out in pairs or anything. They just come out. Do you see the squirrels? If you look closely over there, maybe I can zoom in. The squirrels are running around. There's 2 of them. Oh, they're chasing each other. That's so much fun to watch when you're outside. Okay, we're gonna finish up. This is another apple tree, and here's the Borst schoolhouse. So once COVID is over and things opening up, you can come down to the Borst home and get a tour inside the schoolhouse and inside the house. And maybe it'll be ready for Christmas because they decorate everything for Christmas. And there's ladies in costumes and they'll tell you all about the school and the house. So, and there's gardens here. Oops. So this is a really interesting place to explore if you want to just come down one afternoon and walk around while the weather is still nice and see all the different trees. take some home to do the rubbings. Have a great day. Bye.